The Caravan for Peace, Life, and Justice has finally reached its destination, the United Nations, here in New York. We've come a long way to get here.
We started this trip in Honduras, where the country has been extremely hard hit by the drug war. Just the week before the caravan began, Berta Cáceres was murdered. She was one of the principal pillars of the caravan, someone who had supported the caravan from the beginning. We continued to work with her organization, COPIN, and with the Black Fraternal Order of Honduras, the OFRANE, who received us in La Ceiba with drums and with open arms. It was a beautiful thing. All along, people from COPIN, from OFRANE, eventually from civil society in El Salvador have joined the caravan, gotten on the bus, and have carried us through numerous events. From El Salvador, we have the Anglican bishop who has joined the caravan. He will be traveling with us all the way to New York. In Guatemala, we had an embrace from civil society that was truly heartwarming. The religious organizations across the country, including Bishop Ramasini, a wonderful Catholic bishop, received us with open arms, organized a caravan of 25 pickup trucks filled with indigenous people to accompany us from northern Guatemala to the border. It was an extremely warm embrace by this movement, and we were heartened as we crossed the border, carrying with us again people from Guatemala into southern Mexico, where we were met by a group representing migrant organizations as we headed into Mexico through San Cristobal de las Casas and eventually to Oaxaca, where we went with the famed painter Francisco Toledo, who gave us a breakfast and words of encouragement as we headed on further to Cuernavaca, where we met with Javier Cecilia, the poet who led the movement for peace with justice and dignity, and several caravans prior to this. We then had a very heavy day going down to Guerra, where so many people have been disappeared. We met with the organizations that have been hardest hit, the parents and students from the Ayotzinapa Teachers College. Even as we were there in Ayotzinapa, there was trouble. The students were running out from the campus as we arrived because one of their members, actually a couple, had been grabbed by police, and they went out ready to fight to bring their members back home. We heard from from those folks. We also visited in Chilpancingo with people who had come down from many communities to meet the caravan and to put forward their concerns about repression in that state and their concerns about how the drug war connected to all of this. We then went to Iguala, Guerrero, where there is a very strong movement called The Other Disappeared, who have lost about, as a collective group, they have lost about 500 family members. Moved back up to Mexico City, where we were met and eventually were part of a tremendous concert for peace, life, and justice in the Zocalo of Mexico City.
Thousands of Mexicans came out to show their discontent with the current policies. We held important forums in Mexico City, and big newspapers like La Jornada wrote editorials saying why it was so important to listen to the message that the Caravan for Peace had. That's the same message we carried northward to Monterrey, where we met with large sectors of civil society and held one of the first marches through Monterrey in many years to denounce the drug war. Then we went to the border through Tamaulipas, one of the most dangerous places in our entire continent right now, on a highway where hundreds of people have been kidnapped, where people have been hung on bridges. We went right through that area, talked with people, met with people at the university, and then crossed the border in an incredible moment with Mirna Loscano, who took her 2 children by the hand. She had been deported from the United States and had to leave her children behind. They came to Monterrey to meet with us. She walked with them and went straight to the border, ready to put her freedom on the line in order to be with her children. And remarkably, it worked. With all the pressure and all the light of the caravan and the media that brought with it, the Border Patrol and all the folks there didn't stop her from coming in. They said, okay, you can come in with your kids. We were awestruck by this. And the caravan kept moving from there. We went to Dilley, Texas to protest outside the family detention center there, where whole families are held in a privately owned Corrections Corporation of America facility, the biggest facility like that on the continent. And then we got on a plane in Houston so that we could advance and spend a weekend in Washington, D.C., where we met with all kinds of people, with the Students for Sensible Drug Policy, with religious leaders from around the country who were gathered in the Ecumenical Days of Action Conference, and to prepare ourselves for the final leg of the caravan to New York City. We were joined by hundreds of Students for Sensible Drug Policy, and arrived at Foley Square just in time to meet with hundreds of people who had gathered to meet the caravan there. We continued up through New York City, coming to the United Nations with mothers and families of people who have died in the course of the drug war, who had gathered to say it's time to put an end to this, whether our children died from overdoses or died from violence like so many of those from Central America and Mexico. It's time to put an end to this foolish policy. We're here now pushing for the people who are meeting inside these buildings to take seriously the challenge of ending the drug war. It's something that has plagued our countries for the last 50 years. It's based on a lie. It has damaged so many lives, so many communities, and it needs to end. Not only does it kill hundreds of thousands of people and lock millions up unnecessarily, it's a tremendous distraction from the real problems that are facing our globe right now. People at the United Nations should have figured this out a long time ago so that we could be working on issues like climate change, the things that really are going to affect the future of our planet. This is a subject that should be finished, tied up, put away, and we should move on. That's really the message that we have from the caravan for the folks at the United Nations. Stop militarizing our countries, stop militarizing the drug war, have the police get back on the side of the people, treat this as the public health issue that it actually is, and let's be done with it once and for all.